It was a cool, rainy day as Jake Taylor approached his first real mission as a spy. He ran his fingers through his short brown hair, feeling the rain trickling down his face. From far away, he could hear the faint sound of emergency sirens and felt a slight rumble in the ground from the occasional passing car. Jake's heart raced as he thought about the mission in front of him. He was tasked with finding a piece of information that had been stolen from the government. They had their suspicions of the thief, and now it was up to Jake to get the evidence he needed. He was nervous, but confident that he could do the job. He was a natural-born spy and had trained for months leading up to this moment. Jake made his way to the entrance of the building, a tall gray skyscraper looming in the distance. He took a deep breath as he stopped to look up at it, unsure of what he would find inside. Taking a moment to steel himself, he adjusted his black coat and pulled up his hood to cover his face from the rain. He knew he needed to get in undetected, so he slowly made his way around the building, scouting for alternate entrances. Jake eventually found a set of stairs that led to a side door. He took out a special lockpick he had fashioned himself and worked his way through the locks until he was able to open the door. Once inside, he followed the blueprints he had stored in his pocket and quickly found himself in a section of the building used for research. He moved around the hallways, listening closely for any sound of life. All he heard was the silent ticking of a clock. He didn't want to take any chances, so he stayed back in the shadows, watching and waiting. After a few minutes, Jake heard a faint sound coming from a nearby office. Peering around the corner, he could see a man sitting in the corner of the room, working on a computer. He was dressed in all black with a hood pulled up over his face. The man suddenly stopped and quickly shut down the computer. Jake heard him muttering something to himself before he stood up and started to walk towards the door. Instinctively, Jake darted back out of sight. He stayed against the wall, listening closely for the sound of the door closing. He heard it and then held his breath, waiting for the sound of footsteps to fade away. As soon as the sound of the man's boots disappeared into the distance, Jake stepped out of the shadows and made his way into the office. The computer was still running, and quickly after he sat down in front of it, Jake saw what he was looking for. He grabbed a flash drive from his pocket and inserted it into the computer to transfer the information onto it. Just as he had finished, Jake heard the sound of someone opening the door. Panicking, he reached for his gun, but it was too late. He had been detected. He could see the glint of the gun in the man's hands and feel the heat of the muzzle pressed to his temple. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" the man growled. "My name is Jake Taylor and I'm here on a spy mission," Jake said, trying his best to sound confident. The man raised an eyebrow. "And what spy mission would that be?" "I was sent to recover a piece of information stolen from the government." The man looked at Jake for a moment and then suddenly burst out laughing. "Very impressive," he said, "but you're going to have to come with me if you want to live." With that, the man waved his gun towards the door and Jake got up reluctantly, realizing his mission had failed. He was led by the man out of the building, his heart racing faster than when he began. As the rain was pouring down, the man looked at Jake and shook his head. "Spying isn't as easy as the movies make it out to be," he said, before pushing Jake into the back of a van. Jake had failed his mission, but he wasn't going to give up. He had gotten his first taste of the spy game and realized there was much more to it than he had originally thought. He was determined to succeed on his next mission and prove that he was capable of being a real spy.
Comment below and subscribe to not miss the next story.